Noli. Welcome to the
Hey,
podcast. Thanks for chit-chatting with me again.
Yes,
Sorry.
I like chit-chatting with you every week and trying to record
maybe we should,
again and again.
Maybe we should just do this. We should just do this every week. We just every week have the Phil and Noli podcast. We're here recording again because I screwed up Ivar's recording, and me and him had to re-record, and now Noli and I are also having to re-record due to a very small computing error on my part. And Ripley also.
Yeah, apparently I had a rich echo.
Yeah.
Echo in my voice.
Don't do that. It'll mess with my mind. Noli, thanks for talking to me. So who are you? We don't have to like re-repeat the whole thing that we did last time, but like, you know what? Just give a quick tell us about you. Who are you in the unicycle world? What do you do?
Who am I? Well, I'm Noli Ergas. I've been unicycling since 2004. I was largely one of those people just kind of in the background for a very long time, and then
You've got cool outfits.
Started showing up to events with more regularity around 2010, and started making unicycle calendars in the mid-2010s. And here I am.
They've all
now.
sold out. People
People
are
sold out.
selling them on eBay for $50,000, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a unicycle calendar you don't want to show your mother.
And if you do show your mother, it's probably because she's got good taste.
Exactly.
What else do you do in the unicycle world, Noli?
What do I do?
Yeah, what's your style? Tell us about your style of riding. I'm just going to do a different format instead of my regular bullshit because, make it less boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, things I do now include being on the USA directors or board of directors of the Unicycle Society of America. I'm mainly riding uni now because I've become an old man, and that's what you do when you become an old man. Next, I'll be purchasing a hatchet.
Oh my god!
I actually seriously considered it because I live in Denver, Colorado, and winters here, if you want to be a responsible individual and not totally fuck up the trails, you basically should not ride anytime there's like a bunch of ice and mud and stuff like that.
For sure.
And so here, it snows, it melts, the trails are muddy, and then if you ride through it with tires, then you leave giant ruts.
Yeah, that makes
really
sense.
fucks up the trail. So yeah, it's like really unreliable to be able to ride Muni at all between October and March, basically, which is a giant chunk of the year. So if you can go out when it's actually snowed recently and like there isn't mud because it's all frozen, that's actually a better time to ride. So I have thought about doing a hatchet, but I'm going to try a studded tire first.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I used to ride street. I rode street.
Don't say used to ride street like you'll never ride street ever again.
I mean,
we're gonna go bus around at the skate park now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I rode at a skate park for the first time in like 10 months, just a few weeks ago, and just like doing the kind of thing I would do normally back in the day, just like hitting a 6-set park rail. I landed funky and put like a giant sideways knock in my rim, and I'm like, God damn it. I do not want to build another 19-inch rim that I don't even know when I'm going to ride next time.
That's why I got 3 on stock, ready to go all the time, Noli. I just break one, throw it in the trash, pull out another one,
I'm not doing any like Chris Kovacs break 3 wheel sets in one comp. And just have like another one ready to go.
I think I've talked about this a lot, but I'm gonna keep trying to push street for me, I think, until 40. I think I'm going to push it till 40.
Wow. Well, I guess maybe I should try until then as well.
I have found, I have to do a bit more maintenance, a bit more stretching. The thing that bugs me when I ride hard is my knees, and they just feel worked. But I find when I do like strength training, when I really do my squats and do my lunges and make sure like I'm doing like those leg muscle and the exercises, my knees feel better like riding. But as soon as I stop though, they start to feel like worse again.
Yeah, the two people to talk to, if you want to keep riding street to that age, are Axel Castle and Nicolas Potier. Those are the only two people that I know of that have continued riding street past the age of 40.
Dang.
Actually, I don't know about Nicolas Potier. He's a French rider. He was at least in his upper 30s, but I know Axel
still pushing it.
In his 40s, like riding on rails and then dropping in to grind, like that kind of shit.
That's the shit I want to do, Nolan. That's the shit.
Yeah, Axel's a badass. For sure.
I mean, he made the most badass bases. He's got to be one of the most badass riders, you know.
It's true.
Dang, I don't have it anymore. I just finished doing a little project for Mose. I took all his carbon fiber seat base and I made all the holes, the hex nuts instead of the acorns. And I've gotten really good at it.
You're a good man.
I did it for him out of the kindness of my heart. Do you think that's a service that people would be interested in?
I think if there are still carbon fiber bases sold that aren't drilled, but aren't the new Nimbus carbon fiber bases?
It's like a full saddle.
Already...
It's the Exceed saddle.
Okay, yeah, I haven't kept up with that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's one on the market currently that it isn't drilled at this point.
Well, even if they're drilled already, you just like reshape the holes. That's what you do.
Gotcha. So you'll be
because they come drilled with like the square, those little square taper nuts that go in there, and those can like jiggle and strip. At least that's what happened to Evar's carbon base. But then you put the hex ones in and glue them in, and so you could glue the square ones in too. But
yeah, I know some unicyclists who jiggle and strip.
Whatever the mood, it strikes me. We talked about this last time, but I think. Listen, I'm sure it's functionally good and all that. I think the Hatchet unicycle is the ugliest unicycle in the unicycle world.
Well, you should have been at the Milwaukee Muni weekend whenever Josh Torrens was showcasing the prototype.
I'm not shitting on anyone who rides a Hatchet. I'm sure for that type of riding, it's very functional and good. I hate the size of it. I hate the shape of it. I hate the colors. Just to me, like it's Phil's anti-unicycle.
To be fair, Phil, most unicycles probably hate the size of you and the shape of you.
That's true. If you open up Instagram, you can look at the photos I posted today. It's like my birthday photos. And did you see I took my unicycle and I turned it into like 34 with how I bent it.
That was beautiful.
I'm glad you like that.
I made a comment. It was very, very soon before the podcast, so you probably didn't see it.
I have literally posted that last minute. I'll do it. We'll look it up right now on the podcast. See what Noah's comment was. Those seat posts, by the way, are beefy. I didn't realize how beefy it was until because I chopped the rest of it off to use with my saddle adapter, and the inside where I bent is like. It's thick. And I still bent the crap out of it like that.
Well, that just means you're thicker.
Again, that was a me problem. That's definitely not a Mad for One issue. That was a Phil Sanders really landing on the saddle exactly wrong issue. So if anyone thinks I messed up.
Well, sounds like you've done a lot of that in your day.
Yeah. If I do anything, I land on the saddle wrong. That's for sure. Whoa, that's a lot of comments. I wasn't expecting all that.
Mine were only 2 of them.
Liking for the last pick. And for the matcha cake. Yeah, she made every aspect of that cake herself. There's matcha ice cream in it. She bought the matcha ice cream. But every other component...
This is Phil's girlfriend.
100% homemade. Yeah.
Taken man. So all you
Super taken.
Unicycle lady fans out
And
there,
men.
or man fans,
Yeah. You can try, but you won't get it, guys. You won't get it. So mostly Muni now, and you're down in Colorado. Tell us some of your recent Muni adventures. You guys have been doing some pretty good rides down there, it seems.
Yeah, well, in the last year-ish, we've had Bo Hoover and Scott Wilton and Laurel Myers
Scott moved down there.
Yeah.
He's sick of the Midwest, huh?
Well, I mean, he likes being outdoors, and definitely Colorado's a way superior place to be outdoors than Wisconsin.
I can see that.
Yeah, so we have those people. We also have Heiko Kaboots, which is a South African rider who moved out here somewhat recently. So between the people moving out to central Colorado, and also just the people that have been here and have just gotten more into Muni, like we actually have a really good group. So Muni rides here can get to like 6, 7, 8 people.
Oh,
pretty regularly.
That sounds so nice.
Like if I want to ride Muni out here, I almost certainly can find someone to go out.
If you're text like, hey guys, I might hit some trails this weekend. People are like, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, it's been really nice, and like certain people like Jamie Mossengren, he passes through pretty often. And yeah, I mean, because it's more centrally located. I used to live in Seattle for about almost 10 years. People don't really pass through Seattle.
Yeah, well, it's kind of on the corner.
You go there.
You're either going to Seattle or you're not.
Yeah,
it's not like on the way to things.
Yeah, but Denver is.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely a hub.
I have been fortunate enough to have people like passing through Denver. I moved here in 2018. And actually, a lot of unicyclists have, especially in the first year. I mean, obviously not during the pandemic, but in the first year and a half, I had a lot of people that came out.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just had it's just me and Mose over here. That's not true.
I definitely know your plight. So Phil and I, we go back a little ways.
There was a time where we were the only riders in Washington, practically.
Yeah, so there was that guy who posted, now it was about a week ago, who was like, I'm the only rider in Guam. Is there anyone else in Guam? If you come to Guam, come visit me. And I made a comment on Unicycle Chat on Facebook, which Phil Sanders is no longer on.
Unicycle Chat.
The moderator of Unicycle Chat.
I wonder what it's like there now.
And I basically just wrote, like, you are not alone.
Yeah.
Many unicyclists in this world have to drive at least 5 hours to even ride with somebody else.
If you're not a lonely unicyclist, are you even a real unicyclist?
Yeah, and back when I was in Seattle, there was a good chunk of that time where if I wanted to ride street or really urban anything, I had to drive 5 hours to go ride with Phil.
Oh, God.
Out in Spokane.
This is like a weird comment to make probably, but like, I wish we could have like our riding skills we have now and like go back to that time, you know? Because I feel like we would just enjoy riding more.
Yeah. Well, I think at that time though I was learning a lot of new skills and pushing my limits in the street a lot. So really, I mean, even if I had the same skills now that I did at my peak of street, I think it's still a lot more exciting time whenever you're trying things out. Like I think I landed my second or third double flip out of a grind out on one of those trips to Spokane.
Oh, definitely. You did it off the flat box. The long one. You did a double flip. I remember that trip vividly.
And something like that is just a lot more exciting than like, oh, I know I've landed a lot of double flips out of grinds. Like, let me just try to do another one. Whenever it's like your second or third, or especially your first, it's just like that much. You're just that much more amped about it.
I do like being able. I do like that feeling of landing a trick the first time. That is a very exciting feeling. But I personally think I do like the feeling more of, like, being able to do it whenever I want. Like, you know, like, the first time I landed, like, a full-out flip was, like, I, like, screamed, I freaked out, I lost it, but now being able to just, like, do one. Like, okay, now I want to do it at the curve. Now I want to do it at that box. Like, now I can do it here. Like, I just still get that, like, like, zing, like, up my spine. Like, every time I land it, it's like, so...
That's what keeps us unicycling.
So worth it. It's like... I did have a bad experience recently, though. My rides for the last, like, 3 weeks. We talked about this already a little bit. But, like, I had this breakthrough this weekend during my birthday. But my rides for 3 weeks have been terrible. Like, really bad. Like, I couldn't land a crank flip up the mani pad last weekend. Like, to the point where I'm like, I'm going to quit. Like, is this real? Like, what's happening? And I found out...
Then you just broke your seat post.
Well, that was the good ride, too. That ride was a great ride. And breaking my seat post was, like, the perfect finale to my birthday ride. Because I always do a ride on my birthday. Like, no matter what. I don't care what's happening. Nice. I put a little break in the day, and I go ride my unicycle on my birthday. Because that's, like, secretly, like, when I started riding is, like, when I got a unicycle for my birthday. Like, all those years ago. So, that's my ritual. Gotcha. But I've been... For the 3 weeks, 3 weeks since I got the sauna, I've been sauning for an hour before going out and exercising. And turns out you're supposed to sauna after exercise. So I've been essentially draining all my power and then going out and riding and having terrible, terrible rides. Where, like, I just couldn't jump, I couldn't do tricks, I'm just super tired. So pro tip, if you have a sauna, do it after.
Well, I mean, I figure it's like a massage, right? Like, you don't want to massage right before you
Yeah.
That'd be terrible.
I got a full body massage right before I went to Australia, and that was, like, the worst decision ever. Because, like, first 3 days of riding, I'm like, oh, my body is, like, recovering from the massage still.
No, definitely after the big riding trip. But hey, we should talk about these broken parts some more. That was something I think we spent 45 minutes talking about last time.
Yeah, let me pull one out for you right here. Excuse all my noises, everyone. Here's my, I believe this is my axle base, right here. I think I talked about this already, but yeah, and this is where I got the inspiration. We talked about this on Uber's podcast a lot, but here you can see the holes. Can you see them clearly?
I can see those.
You do the hex thing. Anyway, that's what I want to do for people, if you guys want to do that.
Yeah, I've broken every part on a unicycle, but I was going to say just now I never broke the carbon base, but then I remembered I broke the moo cow carbon base, but who didn't?
I mean, I didn't break the moo cow carbon base.
Wait, what? You had a moo cow?
No, I didn't have one. I didn't have one.
Okay.
But I bet you if I would have had one, I would have destroyed the son of a bitch. I'm sure it was designed well. I'm just, a big man. Let's see. Okay, I definitely broke cranks. I don't think I've ever snapped a crank in half. But I have ruined the splines on the inside, and I've ruined the threads on the other side. I bent a crank too. I bent a steel crank.
I broke okay. I've destroyed many cranks, but the first one that I actually had snap was Moab Uni Weekend, 2017, 18, I don't remember. The first 15 minutes of riding, you go down. This was on High Masa. You go down the big rock section.
Yeah.
And then kind of go through a wash, and then you have to climb again. I broke it climbing. And I just
That's the other thing, though. You always break shit in the weirdest way.
The pedal hole. And fortunately, someone had a unicycle in the back of their truck.
Oh my god.
And I had the tools to remove a crank in my backpack, because I have every tool to completely disassemble a unicycle
Same.
in my backpack at all times. And I've needed every single one of them. And yeah, I had to walk back to the parking lot, which is the one down the hill, and then swap out the cranks, and then haul ass to join everyone else who obviously did not have to stop for breaking their fucking
It's not a normal thing to break, recover from, and then get back in the ride building. Normally, that's a done for the day type move for most people.
Yeah. So I definitely lucked out. Thank you, Jill, from Madison, Wisconsin.
Jill's the best. You hear that, Jill? You rock. You rock, Jill.
She's probably not even going to listen.
No, probably not. But I secretly hope
someone pass it along.
She will.
Someone who knows.
Just tell Jill that we're just like shit talking her like super hard. She's gonna watch the podcast, like find out what we said.
Yeah. And then feel terrible for thinking that we would say such things.
Let's see. I've definitely tacoed one rim, but not very many. I've definitely squashed a bunch. But probably only tacoed one. I've definitely broken a couple frames. 100,000 Z posts. I've broken a couple collars. I like snapped one C-post clamp in half one time.
Oh yeah. I've never snapped those. I've mainly just stripped them.
I've stripped them, but I have had one break. I've had one like hit an edge and crack. No, it's done.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's. I have not.
I also had one where like you tightened it and just like after riding and tightening it, where you tightened it like broke off. You know?
Yeah, okay.
Let's see. We were talking about the hubs a lot. I've snapped arms off of square tapered hubs a lot, but I've never snapped off a isosplined hub, but I have ripped flanges off of like, I don't know, a whole bunch.
Wow. So that,
and I've twisted some as well.
I've never managed. My first hub that I broke, actually, and this was really embarrassing. This was at the Arizona Mini Weekend, I think like 2015 or something like that. And they had, after the first day of riding, they had a basketball night. And I had not really played uni basketball in a big group like that before. And I didn't bring a unicycle that would make sense for that because I flew in. I only had my 26-inch Mini.
Just do 26-inch basketball. Run people over. It's fine.
And fortunately, someone, a little older woman, lended me her like 24-inch Sun unicycle. And I mean, whatever. It's basketball. Like, I don't need something super beefy.
But you were just trying to dunk so much that you just tore that thing in half.
So in basketball, there's a lot of quick changing directions. Going forward, then you got to go backward, or then you're going forward and you got to stop real quick, hop, whatever. And there was a time in the game where I was going forward and then trying to change direction so quickly that I somehow separated the outer flange of the hub that held all the spokes and the inner hub
they
part.
become like unseated from each other.
Yeah, it just like spun separately from the rest of the wheel.
And you gave her a freewheel unicycle. I mean, you really helped her out in that scenario. Those cost a lot of money right now.
If only it worked that way. It only worked. It only spun like the hub, the axle. I don't know. Like it's only spun separately from the flanges. If you really torqued on it, so. I felt super bad because like a Sun unicycle is one of those where you're not gonna pay to replace.
No. You throw that in the trash and you find another one.
Yeah, so I felt terrible after that. But that was, I think, my first time. No, that wasn't my first time breaking someone else's unicycle.
What a monster!
Yeah. Well, okay. Since we got on the topic, so the first time I actually broke. This was the first and only time, surprisingly, that I broke a rear bumper. Was at 2010 in
Broken 1,000 rear bumpers.
And Bruce Dawson lent me to try his 20-inch geared giraffe. And it was geared like a 36.
Wait, how tall is it?
It's like a normal, like, 5-foot giraffe.
Oh my god.
But it was specially built to be geared to where it rode like a 36-inch.
Oh my god, why?
And nobody told me that. I just, like, I guess he figured most people would look at it and
Be
just
like,
figure it out.
this is obviously geared. This is something's weird about this.
So I got on, and like the thing just wants to shoot out from under you immediately.
Not surprised.
So I got on, the unicycle shoots out, the rear bumper slams on the ground, the whole protective plate part just flies off to the other side of the gym. I ended up buying him another one, but like I was like, wow, okay,
Yeah, maybe you
I
should
guess
get
that's how you break a
like a
bumper.
metal rear bumper for this thing or something.
Yeah. The other, I guess I have one. Well, I have more memorable. I have one more really memorable breaking someone else's unicycle stories. And this was at the 2018. Was it 2018? The Vancouver Muni.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was when I went to, right? Or was it?
Yeah. So Phil was there, and this was one of those like after a big muni ride, going and doing something else.
Yeah.
And so this was a skate
Super
park.
drained.
And this was the skate park that Mose landed his first flip off a 3-set.
Yeah.
Was that? Yeah.
So you went to that same park. I didn't realize it was the same one.
Yeah. I think it was. Well, anyway, I only went to one skate park. I thought we only went to one skate park as a group. But anyway, I only brought, again, because I flew in, I only brought a 26-inch Muni, which is not a good Uni to be riding around a skate park. So, fortunately, there was a local guy who was willing to lend me his 19-inch trial.
Oh, yeah. This is when we went to that park. Yeah. They had that really long rail. I remember this.
Yeah, so there was like a lot of small rails, and then there's one like a little bigger rail.
Yeah, but it was like low.
And I like grinding rails.
Yeah, they're
like
fun.
that's the biggest thing
Scares
that
the
I have done in
shit out of
street.
me.
That's the thing that like if I'm gonna go to a skate park, I'm gonna grind every rail, every ledge, and then maybe I'll think of doing something else. So I just wanted to grind everything in the park. I went around, I grinded everything, and then there was this rail that was definitely the biggest in the park, and it was like maybe the equivalent of like an 8 to 10 set. Hard to tell.
Yeah,
because
I'd say probably like 10, closer to 10 probably.
Yeah, but there was a ramp, so you couldn't really tell. I knew I could do it though, and so I roll up to it, I hit it. The grind is perfect. Like I'm like, okay, this is a done deal. I get off the rail and going to land and ride out, and like pop,
just
9
blow.
broken spokes on this young guy's Uni that he just lent me to ride around the park. Literally knows to destroy his wheel.
You're a monster.
But fortunately, so usually when you break 9 spokes, the wheel is toast.
Probably.
But I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I think this wheel can be saved. And fortunately, Anso and Justin were kind of organizers of the event, and they are people who run Grin Cyclery
Yeah.
in Vancouver.
Their shop
Which
is
does
cool.
a lot of, which I think, well, I don't know if they still do, but they used to have like a whole unicycle section.
They still
lots of unicycle
have
parts.
some parts in stock.
Okay. But they have spoke cutter, and so I managed to get 9 spokes cut, and I relaced it back together, and it still had a little bit of a sideways knock in it, but it was like
Still.
definitely rideable.
Yeah.
It was a true street unicycle at that point. Because if you're riding a wheel that's totally true and spin straight, are you even really a street rider?
People are like, are you riding freestyle on this thing? What are you doing? Come on now. Like, you gotta jump off of stuff. That's why the tire's so big.
Exactly.
What do you think? You ever try the 20-inch street?
Well, I'd have to get back into riding street regularly to even think about it.
Yeah. I like it. I gotta say, I like my 20-inch tire. I was worried that the tire, like jumping on like skiddies and stuff, would be noticeably scarier not having all that tire surface area. But
Yeah.
I have gotten used to it really quickly, and I still have like a 2.4 BMX like tire on that
Mhm.
wheel still. But man, I keep breaking spokes on that hub though. I gotta say. That's
Yeah, and yours is the bitch where you got to take the the bearings off.
Yeah, I have to go to the bike shop with my bearing puller because they don't have one that'll pull it off unicycles.
Because every unicycle part has to be totally specific just to unicycles.
Yeah, right. What's with our bearings?
Have you shopped around for bearings?
Dude, my brother works for an industrial supply chain, and he has looked up those like bearings to see like where they come from, and they like literally are exclusively sold by Unicycle.com. Like they have like the like factory like or something like that. Like the only place to get them is like through them. My brother has like looked through the like industrial supply chain to see like that's the case. So thanks, Unicycle World. Give us a normal bearing, please. Thanks. You know, we have to give it up for to Impact for that because they use a normal bearing on their weirdo size.
But have any other people taken that up? I think it's still just been Impact.
I mean, all the Impact riders. You know, I'm not gonna lie. The only reason I haven't purchased a new Impact is, yeah, that is a problem, isn't it? Because it doesn't go on any other things. As soon as someone comes up with a good, there's a spacer though or something, right? I think there's like a spacer that like does it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'll tell you, I have almost all my unicycle saddles take the old bumper, so like I can't use like any of the stuff you can buy at unicycle.com because I have to use all the old bumpers. I started trying to 3D print them.
Ooh.
Because I also have a 3D printer.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm pretty fancy. Yeah, 3D printing's really fun. It takes some. I'm not like very technologically inclined, I would say in that way, but my roommate is, and he does a lot of 3D printing on it. But I will say, if someone else is better at 3D printing than me, I haven't quite figured out how to make a structure that doesn't immediately shatter into 1,000 pieces when it hits the ground one time.
I think it's the compounds.
Yeah. I don't know what I have to do. I think if I like 3D printed it and then like sprayed it in like a silicone material, it would probably like be really perfect. But
talk to Corbin Dunn. I think Corbin Dunn could help you.
He's got some 3D printing ideas.
He's been 3D printing a non-metal, really tight handlebar system. Or not even handlebar, but you know, like the current Mad for One saddle where it's got like the metal bar that goes out.
The handle saddle? The saddle that I literally am riding on right now?
Yeah, so you're sitting on that right now. Yeah. Right, riding.
I'm sitting on it right now. It's underneath me right now. Very uncomfortable.
Did Ivar talk about his chair for sitting at his computer?
No.
He used to actually have just like a frame and a saddle, like a unicycle frame and saddle, somehow like affixed to where it wouldn't move around. That he just sat on at his computer. So he was always sitting on a unicycle.
I don't know why, but I mean, to each his own, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, Corbin Dunn 3D printed something that's like a handle saddle, but a lot more tight, so that there's not that much space. Like it's really just enough space to like get your.
I'll have to look that up because I posted a bunch of stuff too. I have a handle saddle that was 3D printed as well. I had a friend design it for me. And it's pretty good. I think the idea was like that maybe you could 3D print it and then like coat it in carbon fiber or something like that, or wrap it in carbon fiber. Some people, I put it up on the forums, unicyclist.com, and a few people hit me up, but I hadn't seen if anybody else had actually 3D printed it and tried to make it functional.
Yeah, so I don't know if Corbin Dunn has posted about that on the forums. I saw it on Facebook. So maybe you can borrow someone's Facebook login credentials.
I had heard that other people were doing this. I think me and Corbin might have exchanged some stuff on the forums. I'm not quite sure. If not, Corbin, if you're hearing this, get in touch with me. We can do some 3D printing exchanges. So I'm not bandaging a wound for anyone who's wondering.
Yeah. But back on the topic of breaking shit.
Yeah, break more shit. Break my heart.
Well, last time we did this a week ago.
Yeah, rub it in, get it out, it's fine.
We covered kind of my unicycle origins.
Yeah, you wanted to tell us the story of how you started unicycling.
Well, you asked.
It is one of my typical questions. I just didn't want us to, have this boring podcast where we just felt like we were repeating all the same shit that we talked about last time. But tell us, Noe, how did you start unicycling?
And I bring it up because it ties into the breaking shit story as well. So I feel like I started at a terrible time.
Oh, when everything was breakable and there were no hard unicycles?
For extreme unicycling. So I started in 2004, seriously. But, I mean, really you can trace it back to 2003. Up until fall 2003, I had seen a unicyclist once. There was one unicyclist at my first university I went to, and he rode to class, I assume. I saw him ride down a curb once, and I was impressed.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But, he looked like he knew what he was doing. Like, he'd obviously been doing this. So I didn't think much of it. I'm just like, oh, cool, unicyclist. And then it wasn't until 2003 that I saw a unicycle again. And I was in a juggling club. I was at the University of Hawaii. I did like a semester there, so not very long. I moved there, didn't know anybody. I saw a flyer for the Rainbow Jugglers. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll go to that. I'll try something new, and maybe I'll meet someone.
Yeah, get out there.
Yeah, so I went to this juggling club. I learned how to juggle. And I saw someone trying to unicycle.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that's weird about me. Like, if I see someone that knows how to do something, I'm like, cool, you put in the time, you've got some talent, whatever, like, you can do that. If I see someone trying to do something, my natural instinct is, I can probably do it better. Learn faster. So I was like, oh, let me try this unicycle. And I got on it, and I quickly learned.
It spanked the shit out of you. It spanked the shit out of you is what happened.
I didn't learn the first week or the second week, but by the third week, I was like, I'm probably not going to get this trying like a half hour a week.
Yeah.
I probably need to own one to actually learn this. And so then fast forward, I ended up going to Vancouver. Very unfortunately, not riding in Vancouver at that time, because that would have been amazing.
Missed out the greats.
Yeah, that would have been an amazing time.
KH back in the day.
Yeah. But I joined a juggling group, not World Club, whatever. I started going to juggling club there, and I was interested in buying clubs. Clubs are kind of expensive. It's like $100 for a set. And one of the people in the juggling group was like, oh, unicycle.com is actually a pretty good place to buy juggling clubs. So I go on unicycling.com, and this is back when there was no YouTube.
Nah, nothing.
There was no like hyper.
You were looking at videos
to this server
on the forums if you wanted to find them.
Yeah, so videos had to be like embedded into websites.
Yeah. You had to like upload the whole thing on your dial-up internet.
Yeah. So I was looking I looked for the clubs, and I saw they were like $100-something, and I was like, I don't know that I'm ready for that. But then I just kept browsing, and I saw the trailer for Universe 2. And for some of the Chris Holm DVDs. And I saw these videos. They blew my mind. People were riding on mountains. People were riding in skate parks. People were grinding handrails. And I was like, I have to be able to do this. There's just no question at that point.
Yeah.
Fast forward, though, about 6 months, I ended up transferring universities, and I was at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and I saw a guy at the school cafeteria with this orange unicycle, and I run over to him, and I ask, does the name Chris Holm mean anything to you? And he says, this is a Chris Holm unicycle. And
you're like, what? And you're like, actually, it's a Summit unicycle. The off-brand bastard child of a Chris Holm unicycle.
I was definitely not there at that time, but anyway, he ended up connecting me with another guy who was really good at trials and various disciplines at the time, And that guy helped connect me with someone that I could get a used unicycle from for $50. Some like Japanese brand that I've never even seen again after that one unicycle. And yeah, that winter, it was December, and I was just like, all right, 2 weeks, I'm going to go to this one park, an hour a day, and hopefully I'll learn how to ride after those 2 weeks. And sure enough, I did.
I think 2 weeks is like the money shot, like for most people, you know?
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks is like, when I knew that I could get on a unicycle and ride was like 2 weeks in. Another 2 weeks before I could turn both directions. I could only turn right for like the longest time.
Yeah, but I say it's kind of a terrible time to learn because street had been invented by then.
Yes, it was super fresh.
Yes, flatland, the base, the groundwork for flatland had been laid, and people were doing like 180s, 360s, crank flips, all these things. But pedals were all metal.
That's right. I got the scars.
And they hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see all these. Oh, yeah. All that. That's all metal before plastic. That's what all that is.
So I learned a 180 Unispin, but it didn't take too many missed 180 Unispins to make me realize, like, oh, man.
Maybe this isn't for me.
Sucks. So there was that. And then I didn't actually get into Muni at first because I was too scared.
Yeah, it's scary.
And this was in the Northeast. This was like the trails that people rode there. My two friends actually that were pretty good at trials and other disciplines. We went out to this trail system in New Jersey, and looking back, I'm like, that is the easiest intro to Muni you could possibly ever have.
Yeah, probably.
And yet I didn't try because I was too scared of Muni. So it took moving to Japan in 2006, and I went just, by myself, brought a 24-inch unicycle with me, and there were these like hills with like these kind of worn out footpaths that led down to the road. And looking at those, I was like, I could probably do that.
You're like, that's not too steep. That's not too steep.
Yeah, so that's how I got started, was riding down these like hills that led to a fucking road with cars coming by.
That's what teaches you to stop, Noli. That's what teaches you to stop.
Yeah. That's how I got started, and then there were a lot of hiking trails because I was in the countryside, the fucking middle of nowhere, and there was trails through all the mountains. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try riding my unicycle on these trails, which, like, to me, looking back, I was too scared to ride trails in New Jersey, which is, like, the most densely populated state in the whole country. And probably if I fell down, someone would be by, like,
within swoop in, the ambulance will be right there, no problem.
And instead, in Japan, in the countryside, where, like, there would be times I would be out there and I wouldn't come across another person the entire time I was out. And even if I didn't speak Japanese very well at that point at all. So if, like, I fell, it'd be like, help.
English?
And then they wouldn't understand what that means. And, yeah, I would just basically be lying there.
I feel like a lot of Japanese people would understand what help means.
And they were hiking trails. So they weren't even made for Muni, like, or biking. No trails were made for Muni. But they weren't even made for biking, so, like, it got pretty tough at some points. And even, like, looking back, I'm like, I probably would still have a challenging time
trying to maneuver through all the sections, a little rocky. And then you didn't get to Muni down Mount Fuji, as we had discussed previously. It's like...
Yeah, well, yeah, so... Yeah, oh, man, that story. So I hiked up Mount Fuji with my Muni in a duffel bag. So my first time going over, like, even 5,000 feet in elevation. And I go all the way up to fucking, like, 13,000 something, it's 3,776 meters elevation at the top, which is 13,000 something. I hike up all the way with my Muni in a duffel bag. I get there for sunrise, and then I'm like, hell yes, this is going to be an awesome ride down. Because the trail going up looked like it was going to be a fucking fun Muni ride down. And then I find out the trails are one way.
Oh, God. So classic.
Mount Fuji, if anyone's ever been up there, you know that you can buy ramen from a stand, and you can buy a drink from a vending machine at the top of Mount Fuji.
Like most mountains.
Those people don't hike all the way up there with all their ramen supplies and their vending machines. No, there's a tractor that resupplies everything, and the path that tractor takes was the way you had to go down.
Just casual, giant switchbacks.
Yeah, so it was like a huge, like super wide trail that was fairly flat. Like it was, even though it was sloped, like there was no bumpiness to it.
Smooth.
And it just went down, wide turnaround, down again, wide turnaround, down again, and just zigzagged down the mountain. I got on my unicycle. I rode like 3 or 4 switchbacks, and I was like, "This sucks."
And this was before brakes too,
Well, brakes existed, but they weren't very common. I didn't have a brake at the time, so I just was like,
big bullshit ride.
My legs are gonna explode. My knees are gonna explode for sure if I continue riding on this. So I just got off and just pushed my unicycle down Mount Fuji. It's one of the most disappointing. Probably the most disappointing ride of my life.
Wow.
I did ride at the top, though. So I do have photos of me riding around the rim, the crater rim of Mount Fuji, and next to the sign and all that. So that was cool, but, oh, man. If I had read, too, before going, that, like, there were these mountain bikers that took their bikes all the way up Mount Fuji, and then just bombed the fuck, like, straight down.
I mean, that sounds fun.
Which would have been awesome, but not having the greatest Japanese skills at the time, and being on a unicycle, my big fear was if I just went straight down, how was I going to get back to the bus? Like, I didn't have the language skills to be like, oh yeah, I took this bus to Mount Fuji, how do I get back to the bus stop?
They're like, you can't.
Even if I did, how would I be confident that I could unicycle back to the bus stop by the time the bus came back? So I was just like, I better go down the trail, not get lost.
Come on, Japan. Let us ride Mount Fuji. Help us figure it out. Come on.
So actually, Mount Fuji the Japanese were trying to make it a UNESCO World Heritage Site for a really long time. And one of the reasons that it didn't become a World Heritage Site is because there were too many dead bodies on Mount Fuji.
What?
From people that just died, like, trying to go up Mount Fuji or go down or whatever.
Too many people literally died trying to go up Mount Fuji. There's not, like, bodies left that haven't been reclaimed. Just, like, the body count for climbing Mount Fuji it's just too high.
Oh, no, the bodies were on the mountain.
Oh, my God. Why don't they do anything about that? Or is it, like, historic?
I mean, you'd have to, like, send a party, a team, all around the whole mountain looking for all the dead bodies. So, anyway, that was in my mind, too. I didn't want to become another one of the dead
Missed
bodies.
Opportunity.
Littering Fuji.
That's my dream.
But this ties into, like, a good... this was a particularly bad time for me for unicycling, because I almost just stopped. Well, actually, I did basically stop for a long time, because back then, unicycles were so goddamn expensive.
That's true.
If you wanted something that would last. So you either bought, like, the $250 junk unicycle, or you spent $1,000+ with profile hub and cranks.
I think my...
like, Scott Wallace seat bases, Thompson seat posts.
The Scott Wallace.
All that shit.
Not a lot of people got those either. The Scott Wallace seat bases.
So
I think
I was at that level where I was destroying square taper cranks constantly. I destroyed 3 sets of cranks in my time in Japan, and each time I needed to replace them, I had to, unicycle.com Japan didn't exist.
Yeah.
The only stuff you could get in Japan was
Yeah, they were
Miata.
doing Miata back in the day. Yeah, totally.
That was it. So if you wanted anything more burly than Miata, then you had to basically buy overseas and have it shipped to you. So I had friends in the U.S. buy the parts, have it shipped to them, and then ship it to me. So the first set of cranks, like, I destroyed. And the second set, I got the Odyssey Black Widow cranks, which Unicycle.com touted as like the indestructible square taper cranks.
What a fallacy that is! Indestructible square taper cranks.
Tried and true by John Childs of the Pacific Northwest. And I got these. I had them sent to me. Within 3 weeks, I torsioned one of the cranks so that, the crank should be going like this.
Yeah.
And just like the pedal was like...
It's like laying down. Yeah. Makes your crank flips really good,
I was just like, what the fuck? I can't afford... I already bought the best that exists according to Unicycle.com. I can't afford to keep doing this. And so fast forward a year, I think it was 2007 or 8, Unicycle.com came out with the Nimbus line, and the Nimbus splined hub and cranks that you could buy instead of the profile ones, which were like $600 or something.
Oh yeah, I got one of those.
The Nimbus ones, you get the hub and cranks for $150, and so I was like, all right, I can unicycle again, finally. So I bought the hub and cranks, relaced the wheel, and finally, I was, from that point on, I've been able to continue unicycling.
Somewhat.
I've not been. Yeah, well, I mean.
And then you just kept breaking up and up the ladder, just breaking hubs and ISIS shit and harder shit. Yeah.
I mean, I've broken pretty much everything at this point, but yeah. One story that we shared last time, I definitely want to mention this time too, is for a number of years I was good with hub and cranks, but the KH Spirit hubs came out.
Yeah, the Spirit line, weird one for me.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, newest thing, newest greatest, whatever. I got to jump on it immediately. But Spirit hub, I was definitely looking forward to, because anyone who's ridden with me knows that I cannot sneak up behind you.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming. Speeding up.
The moment hubs, like, they just, the between the hub and the flanges, like, they just, that contact would just creak.
Yeah.
Especially if you rode hard. So I was like, I want a quiet unicycle. I'm going to get the Spirit hub. Get the Spirit hub. Seattle Meeting Weekend was coming up.
I remember this now.
That I'm leading, mind you. Me and Jason Shirk. And first ride, we go to Duthie Hill Mountain Bike Park, which is an awesome park. If you ever go to Seattle, definitely go.
Duthie Hill's absolutely worth it.
And there was this, like, at the time, probably 5.5 foot drop from, like, a wooden platform down to, like, the most beautifully built dirt transition you can imagine.
Yeah.
But just the height, was enough to kind of put me on edge. And I never tried it before. All these unicyclists come. Olaf Delight does it first try. Nate Bernstein does it first try, which are two really strong riders from the southwest of the U.S. And then I'm like, all right, well, got the energies in the air. I'm going to finally try this. I go off this thing, and I just, like, destroy this wheel worse than I've destroyed any wheel in my life.
You're probably the lightest of all those people, too.
No, Nate. Nate's definitely
Nate's pretty light.
He's a small guy. But not only did I destroy the wheel, I also somehow managed to get first I'll say...
Yeah, one thing at a time.
I went to the emergency room because I took my foot hurt, took my shoe off. I saw blood through my sock.
And you thought, this is that amputation. Cut the foot off. There's no go back.
I was like, oh my God, did I get a compound fracture in my foot? Anyway, go to the emergency room. Turns out I got a foot sprain, which I have never gotten before in my life, like spraying the middle of your foot. turns out what's most likely to have happened, the only thing that makes sense, is one of two things. Either my shoelace stabbed me in the process.
That'd be a weird one.
Which is not very likely. Or what probably happened is a broken spoke,
like
went through my shoe.
Stabbed you.
And stabbed my foot and made it bleed. Like that. From a hole. Like it was very clearly there's a hole.
I remember seeing the hole.
Yeah. But anyway, I later found out that whenever I bought a new rim and I was ready to relace the rim to that hub, so I was like, well, the hub's still good. I spun it and the ends of the hub were just like doing this thing. And I was like, holy shit, I fucking bent my brand new Spirit hub.
Yeah, like in the middle. Like not like not like one side, like the whole thing was like cockeyed in the middle.
Yeah, so I write Chris home and I'm like, hey
bro, come on.
Warranty, send me a new hub.
Come on,
and he's
come on,
like,
Chris.
These hubs are built for 99% of the riders out there.
And you're not one of them.
So, I mean, he ended up working out a deal with me where he sold me like a prototype hub from his basement, which was cool at a discounted rate. But no, I didn't get a free hub for being the first person to bend a KH Spirit hub. And then within a year, I think I saw the second one fail, and that was Cody Williams.
Another
actually torsioning the hub to where his cranks like faced different directions slightly, well, quite a bit, considerably.
Yeah, but it's light. Hey, it's light, right?
And he did it off of like an 18-inch drop too. It was laughable.
You know, I see how Cody does his drops, and he really it's like he's trying to hurt his unicycle. I mean, come on. Just give the unicycle a break, Cody. Okay, don't be stomping those Spirit hubs. You know, when you land on them.
So yeah, now you new riders out there, you youngins listening to this, be so thankful that you can buy a $350 Nimbus unicycle that will handle everything you can throw at it.
Everything, yeah.
Until you start to weigh over 150 pounds.
Like, you know, I bought my new unicycle, my new Madford one, and I felt like I was just being greedy. I was like, do I need it to be this strong? And I'm like, you know, I don't need the best hub, the best. And I'm like, nah, fuck it, I'm just going to throw it on there. You know, like, because it wasn't that expensive compared to those old ones. You know, I had the first generation Chris Home unicycle. I don't know if people have heard this story, but like, the way I heard it was Chris Home started developing the unicycles, which became the Summit unicycles with people. But there was something he didn't like about them. Something about it was like not to Chris Home's spec. He likes having his specs, by the way. And so he was like, no, not good enough. Redesign it. And then I think Unicycle.com like picked him up or something like that, and still sold him as like the Summit unicycle. And then he came out with the next version, which was the black steel Chris Home unicycles, and that was my first hard legit trials unicycle, and I think it was like $650 at the time for the complete unicycle. And then my second unicycle was a Bedford custom unicycle with like profile hub and crankset, and that was $1,000 at the time.
Oh, man.
With I think I had a carbon fiber seat at the time. God, so expensive. I rode that one for a long time though, before it finally broke. And like 10 years later, we talked about this too. Profile still gave me a new set of cranks, even 10 years later. And like, I don't think Bedford's really selling stuff anymore, but I emailed him and he emailed me back and he like sent me a new receipt so I could still honor my Profile hub and crank set.
Nice.
Because the profile guys were like, the profile guys were like, are you like, did you buy them new? And I'm like, yeah, I bought a brand new. They're like, all right, here you go. But don't abuse the system. And I'm like, thanks, Profile. Thanks. So you know, say what you want about Profile. They're kind of old school nowadays, but like, they're still pretty legit in my book. I still got my 145s on my 24-inch over here.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome that they're still doing that. Especially with the way the bike world works. I mean, parts are basically obsolete within like 5 years now.
I hate all that bullshit.
Yeah, so actually, I mean, the fact that unicycling is still using ISIS since 2008 is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. You think Q Axle? You think we're gonna go that way?
I mean, it's I I get it. Like, I get that there's some benefits to that, but how many people are destroying ISIS interfaces?
It can't be that many people.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally, like, yeah, we destroy a crank to where it gets like so loose you can't tighten it enough.
Yeah.
And then, like, sometimes the hub splines are so worn that you can't really get cranks to fit on nicely anymore. But, like, most people probably would get an ISIS hub and cranks and be set for life.
Yeah. I haven't authentically ruined a hub in a long time. Like, hubs are solid now. They got that all figured out. The densities, how thick they need to be. They're all pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then, but to finish off that unicycle bit there, I got my custom every part, every color, every shape, every size, every measurement exactly how I wanted it from Mad for One. So I'm not sponsored by Mad for One. I just wanted to buy it myself in the unicycle. And it was like, I think it came to $800 when it was all said and done. And that was like every part was custom anodized. I got the made in Italy hub versus the lesser expensive one. I wanted like the really good one. I got the handle saddle and a regular saddle.
You hear that, youngins?
Yeah.
You're spoiled.
And it's great. The Mad for One Uni is like, it's beautiful, it's fun, it feels good. I've had to pull some bearings out a couple times to replace some spokes, but that's like normal. That's like a normal thing you'll have to do when you break a unicycle.
Speaking of beautiful, fun, and feels good,
oh gosh,
Street Uni X.
The game.
Yeah, I gotta give Daffodil a shout out for that. I noticed there was an update, like the latest release, as of Wednesday of last week, which was April 28th.
Oh, I haven't checked it out. I haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's added new writers or if he added new levels or what, they.
For anyone who doesn't know, there is a unicycle computer game that you can play. It plays a lot like Tony Hawk Pro Skater style. Developed by this individual named Daffodil.
Yes.
And yeah, Noli's featured in it as one of the rideable characters.
And seriously, the only way I got in was two things. I can grind pretty well, I'll say. And I hung out with them at Unicon in South Korea a lot.
Well, and Vancouver too. I think they were around for Vancouver Mini Big. Or I came up for another ride, and Daffodil was there as well.
Okay. Yeah. I don't recall particularly, but yeah, that's something that, I mean, admittedly, I don't play video games very much at all anymore. I played it a few times. It was too hard for me. So I thought the game was way harder than unicycling, but I'll stick to the real thing.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked it out, Street Uni X. Where is it? It's just its own site right now, right?
I mean, there's like, I forget, there's some kind of like gaming website you can go to and find it. I haven't done the indie game thing, like looking Discord. You can get.
Yeah, we'll find it. We'll find a link. We'll put a link in this whenever this comes out.
But yeah, it's daffodil.itch.io/streetUniX with dashes in between street and uni and X. Anyway, total, I don't know, Tony Hawk Pro Skater feel to it.
The only thing we need is multiplayer. That's what we need.
Oh, that would be awesome. You hear that, Daffodil?
Listen, we just
add multiplayer.
Instead of meeting each other at places to go unicycle, we just want to get on Street Uni X and unicycle together on there. That's what we're gonna do.
Yes.
We're gonna have a Unicon.
That might get me back into Street.
Street Uni X.
So yeah, I mean, I know we're probably definitely coming up on an hour here. We went like way over.
That's fine. That's fine. We're Joe Roganing this. I don't care how long our conversations go. And You know,
Yeah, Phil's about to go in the sauna and just record.
that's true.
There.
I do. I was thinking. I've been playing video games, but I like want to make my video gaming more productive. So I was thinking about doing like video game streams while I'm in the sauna. It's like I got a camera of me sweating while playing video games, and I'm like freaking out. But we'll see.
Well, your first one's got to be Street Uni X.
That would be great. Street Uni X,
Yeah.
like streaming, like while I'm sweating. I can't let this fucking double flip. Like freaking out.
People would find that video and they're like, I've never played that game. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, then answer one of my final questions, Noah, before we wrap up, because
Sure.
I don't know what it is. I'm totally falling asleep right now too. We talked about we had a lot of experience in the unicycle world. Okay, either what does the unicycle world need, or what is something you want to change in the unicycle world?
Oh boy,
It's a big one.
Frankly, for me, I just want more events.
Me too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's fewer people riding at higher levels these days than there were in the past. Or at least less people excited about it.
Italy was pretty high peak.
Yeah.
Adrian, Chris Kovac, Christian Hero.
Yeah, and there's been kind of a resurgence of Uni weekends, which I think is awesome. Obviously, pandemic has put a giant damper on everything.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, events are really what kind of gives the spark to unicycling. It's unicyclists. So many people, you go to an event, and afterwards you're just like, I am so amped to try this
do more.
new skill, or just ride harder at uni, or just do whatever. So, I mean, for me, that's huge. And my best unicycle memories are all from events.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like,
That'd be
the thing that made me fall in love was like Moab. The thing that got me started riding street at all was Unicon in New Zealand. Like, the thing that made me want to help out with events was like being in Madison, Wisconsin, like NAUCC. Like, I love that stuff.
Yeah, and I feel I had a really bad intro to unicycle events in 2005. Actually, within a year of learning to ride, I went to my first unicycle event, and it was Motorama in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which was this enormous event where like they had everything from like bike trials, motorcycle trials. They had unicycle trials.
Oh boy.
But they also had like drag racing and RC car whatever races, and it was like anything on wheels. Basically, they tried to shove it
all in
into
there.
this
Yeah.
whole event. It was fucking amazing. And the previous year, I heard, because I did not go the previous year because I just learned how to ride. But apparently, Chris Holm and Ryan Atkins both attended
my god.
and tied for first in the trials competition.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. So second year, no Ryan Atkins, no Chris Holm. Or sorry, the year that I
would
went.
love to see a research of Ryan Atkins. Have you seen like what he's up to lately?
Like Tough Mudders.
He's like
and stuff.
a crazy Spartan warrior, like, and he's like won a bunch of them. And I would love to see him come back to unicycling and see like,
Oh yeah,
what that would be like. It'd be fun.
So I went. I was 21, and I was the second oldest competitor.
Just
There was like
beating the
one
shit out of a
dad
bunch of little
who
kids.
was, like, there was like one dad who was like in his 30s, and then everyone else was like high school age, basically. So I just felt like, and I was like the shittiest rider too. So I was like, I'm old, I'm not good. It was like a terrible start to unicycling. And then I went to the national trials and Muni competitions in Japan. I actually ended up going to that 3 different times, and that made me feel a lot better.
People
about
actually
unicycling.
enjoying it, actually doing unicycling.
Yeah, the people in Japan did not focus on jumping, and hence did not jump very
Not
high. So
surprised.
yeah, I did pretty well at those, and And then it wasn't until 2010 that I went to my first NAUCC. And after that, I basically tried to go every year to an NAUCC or Unicon.
And that's like, I think, when we first met, too, for the first time.
It was at the 2011
That's true.
NAUCC.
That's true.
In
That was the first time I went.
we had to travel 2,000 miles to discover the other urban unicycle.
That lives like right over there. We just missed each other on the forums or something. That's typically how it happens.
Yeah. So, and that was definitely like 2010. I started trying rolling hops and jumping down stair sets, rolling instead of trials fashion of side hops and all that. And so then, in 2011, I finally at NEUCC, I got my first grind at that 6-set ledge.
Oh yes, the class. That's a good one. A good and safe.
Yeah, at that point, like I was comfortable enough with rolling hops that I was like, I know I can hop that high. I can hit this ledge. And I just could not get grinds on flat surfaces. Like flat ledges, I always just hit and stuck and fell and ate shit. And so I just needed that gravity boost to get down and do my first grind. But that was great. And that just opened up things for me. Within 1 year of my first grind on that 6-stair ledge, I hit an 11-set rail. That was like, it's a skate park, but it felt like a real handrail. It was huge. Texas?
You know what event I would like to see come back?
What's that?
I don't know if you've ever saw the videos. It's funny, I have a hard time finding the footage and stuff now, but at the time, there was a lot of footage and photos of it. But do you remember the events that happened? I think they were in Denmark. The Fluck.
I read about those in Uni magazine.
The ones where these events were cool because they set it up in a whole gym, and they essentially built this elaborate giant structure out of pallets and 2x4s and wood, and the structure was there for the whole entire event. And the structure was the street course, the trials course, the hopping, like the high jumping course, the speed trials course, if I'm not mistaken. But it was like all built into one, and some of it moved and some of it didn't. And they did this event a couple times. But it's just this crazy structure where people tried all kinds of stuff. And then you could just, they just looked cool. I would love to bring back like a Flux style event where like we build a big, crazy monster course, maybe almost like a Burning Man of unicycling, if you will, but it's like for a trials course. And then it's just there to ride the whole time.
If you build it, they will come.
You know what's crazy too? In Spokane, there is a pallet making company.
Ooh.
And so there's like a big pallet company that like ships all over like the country, but they're in Spokane. And I wonder if I could go like, hey, you want to do like a pallet promotion for like our event? Like, sell pallets? Yeah.
All the shipping companies will be coming to our unicycle event, checking out the wares.
That's right. And
they'll see our video and be like, I want those pallets.
Yeah.
Those pallets can handle unicycles.
Yeah, like you jump and land on a pallet and it doesn't snap. They're like, ooh, I could drop stuff and not ruin these pallets. Well, I guess we gotta not let our dreams be dreams, huh? We gotta make them our realities, huh?
Yeah, if you build it, they will come.
She wants to sit on something and be comfortable and warm right now, so that's what she's doing.
Well, I definitely want to put in a plug for something that
plug it.
I imagine everyone has forgotten about, because I don't have I have YouTube videos out, but I haven't posted anything in forever. I don't post anything unicycle related really on my Instagram or anything, but I did make the Unicycle Tricktionary.
Oh yes, where is it?
A few years back. So here's the problem. It's a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet. And I made it that way because I wanted it to be something that everyone could contribute to. A lot of people in the past try to make unicycle Tricktionaries, or they did make them, but the big problem was they were always going to be limited by the knowledge of that one writer.
Yes.
And they always made them and then didn't update them. And so tricks were constantly being invented and nobody added them. So I thought, the only way to really have an up-to-date Tricktionary is to let everyone update it. So you land an MBD, post it on there. So I made it in 2018 after going to Winter EUC, talked to some people there, and I actually got a lot of people to contribute. I'll give a shout out to Emil for definitely contributing a lot. Ivar actually contributed quite a bit as well, and some people really came out of the woodwork to add to this, like Kevin McMullen.
Dude, there's definitely like some people who like their data entry nerds out there, probably just looking forward to this.
Adrian Delacroix added a number of things. More. Spencer Hochberg added a few things. So it was great, and the thing that I really liked about it, obviously I made it, but I included, the name of the trick, other names it might be called, what kind of trick it was, a description of how the trick was done, who first landed it, what year it was first landed. This might be
a significant historical document you have here, Nolan.
Yeah, and then videos where you can see the trick being done, and with preference of the video being the first time it was landed, if possible. So, and unfortunately, no one knows about it anymore because it's a Google document. Like, you have to have the link to access it.
Give us the link, though. Give us the link.
It's not. I'll give it to you, and you can post it on the show notes. But my plan from the beginning, and part of why people did not really like this, is that it's not pretty to look at.
I don't give a crap about that. I want the information, the raw, brutal information.
From the beginning, my idea, though, was I want someone with the tech know-how to make this into a viewer-friendly website and make it into some kind of website that's kind of like a wiki-style website.
Oh, sure. Where you just go through all the tricks and see all the info about it.
Yeah, I was approached by a couple of people who were like, I can totally make this into a website. I would love to format this and make it into something that looks great. And neither of them came through. And not going to name any names, Colby's honest. But, Colby, if you're not too busy with Skirt these days.
Have you been on Skirt? You got to be on Skirt. You want to get back into, you want to start getting your tricks, Noli. Skirt is where the motivation is at right now.
If I get back into Street Flatland, then Skirt will definitely be where I go.
Because the game, I'm surprised, honestly. The game mode, it gets me amped. To try, new stuff. Because, each week you can, everyone submits a trick, and you get to try as many of the other people's tricks as you can in the week, and you get a point for, every trick you land. And it's been fun. I have been delightedly surprised to see that a couple of my tricks were more challenging to the community than I expected them to be. Yeah. So that feeling too, seeing your trick not get landed by other people is a satisfying feeling. You're like, oh, people are not trying this. There's something about this trick that's a little harder than people were expecting.
Is Alex Anderson?
Oh yeah, he's killing it every week too.
Yeah,
he's flipping the shit out of Skirt.
This came up in our last conversation, but to me, there's just some tricks that, for whatever reason, are not in vogue. No one wants to do them. And in the podcast with Emil, he talked about the decade.
Yeah.
Fucking nobody does.
And then after that conversation, people were doing them in the Skirt game. It was people saw that. They're like, no, we can still do decade flips. They're still out there. But I want to see a decade flip, down something.
So yes, that.
Come on, Tim DeSmet. Look at you.
So Alex Anderson just fucking pushes the bay flip to the limit.
Yeah, he's got bay triples, bay full-out flips. He's got everything.
Nobody else wants to do a bay flip at all. And to me, they're a badass trick because your feet leave the pedals, they're on the tire, they do something. To me, it's an awesome trick.
I enjoy it,
and I love that Alex Anderson.
You're the one who convinced me to even try it the first time. We went and rode in negative 20-degree weather practically at the skate park. And I got my first one. It was so cold, I don't know if you remember, that the GoPro couldn't film because it was frozen. It was all warped and distorted. The because it was too cold outside.
Yeah. No, yeah. We had some discipline back in the day.
Yeah, where did it all go?
Yeah.
So, into this podcast,
yeah,
hopefully.
For me, like my only NBDs are only NBDs because nobody wants to do or cares about swivel
nobody
grinds.
cares about swivel grinds, though. Give it up. Stop trying to push it. Nobody wants to do them.
Yeah, so I got like triple swivel, quad swivel, twin swivel, and the swivel rewind replay, and blunt to swivel.
You know the problem with
I almost got over blunt swivel. Fucking Nemo got it first. Fucking
so
Nemo,
good. Way to just come in and snip it out from under him, Mimo. It's probably one of my most favorite things you've ever done.
I was this close to over blunt swivel.
I mean, how can you say, like, even Mimo threw a swivel in there for you. He, like, you know, if the top tier are throwing it for you, Noli, then you know it's, like, the good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out to Pele Stram for even inventing swivels.
Oh, Pele.
Yeah.
One of my most classics. Favorite people. I come back, Pele. I come back to the riding.
If it weren't for riding with him at the skate park, just doing nothing but grinds for like 2 hours at a time, I would definitely not have taken the swivel grind to the levels that I did.
Yeah, I don't think I would have pushed for half the things I have now if Pele wasn't around. He's the one who's like telling me to do crank flips. I didn't do a lot of crank flips before. He's like, "Come on, Phil, you're just being lazy, just dodging this bullet."
Was he the one telling you to do a full out 720?
Yeah, with a quarter. There was this time, my most favorite memory of Pele, to like maybe wrap this up for the day, is we went to Madison. We went to go ride with a gentleman named Madison in Portland, Oregon, and we went to the zoo. The zoo has a famous like rockin' structure in front of it that's really fun for trials and street stuff like that. And he wanted to do like, I think it was a full out flip or maybe it was like a huge spin or something. But there was only a quarter rev lineup. Like only a quarter. Literally could start flat,
Yeah.
and you can only go like whoop, just a quarter. And I have to have one. I have to have at least one for me personally. And he's like, and I'm like, why are you even training? He's like, I just want to see if I can do it. And he quarter rev lined up, and I went, bah, and flew the trick off the rock that he was trying. And yeah, he got it. And he's like, that's what taught me that like maybe like getting 3 revs into every trick is like too much.
Yeah. I do remember, like, I know what you're talking about because I saw the video.
Yeah, I never go.
But after that, he would often say, like, if you can't do a trick with a quarter rev lineup,
yeah, then you can't even do it. You can't even do it. It's not even real. Miss you, Pele.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. Man, and he shattered parts in his body and everything. Missed that. Well.
Yes, kids out there, quarter rev lineup.
Yeah, come on.
That's your goal.
Do every trick. You'll see that quarter rev 1260. That's what I want to see. Give me that. Eli, you got that. Well,
quarter rev, unique whip on tire.
Yeah, Jack, come on, quarter rev. I want to see quarter rev. Blip. Uni whip. That's what I want. Roll back quarter. Uni whip. No momentum, nothing. I got a troublemaker trying to get on the mic. She needs attention, so maybe we should call it. Kitty's trying to get after her.
Right.
She's clawing me too.
Well, Phil, it's been real. I miss the days when we could just drive 5 hours and ride together for a whole weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully this world will open up and then I can just pop down to Colorado and we can just enjoy it. I'd prefer to not drive 16 hours again.
Well, let's make it happen.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for being here, Noli.
Thank you, Phil. Pleasure as always.
Till next time.
Indeed.